All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, whereas the recent play of quarterback Kirk Cousins warranted the Atlanta Falcons to bench him in favor of rookie quarterback Michael Penix Jr., this man, and I'm talking about Kirk Cousins, has put on a financial masterclass in regards to getting paid by the NFL and not being a top tier talent. I say this because so far in Cousins' NFL career, he has pulled in nearly $300 million in career earnings, which is not bad for a guy whose record as a starting quarterback in the National Football League is 83-74. The Falcons, plain and simple, they overpaid for a mediocre quarterback who is coming off of an Achilles injury, and Kirk Cousins right now is having a less than mediocre season. So far this season, Kirk Cousins has 18 touchdown passes, and I'm going to dissect that in a moment, while his 16 interceptions lead the league. And in the Falcons' last 5 games, Cousins has thrown just one touchdown with 9 interceptions, and it gives you a glimpse as to why Atlanta is 1-4 over that stretch and why head coach Raheem Morris is turning to Michael Penix. So you look at it right now, and the question is going to be what's next for the Falcons and Cousins? Well, financially, wow, Atlanta's in a little bit of a bind right here because if they were to release Kirk Cousins before June 1st of next year, we're talking about a $65 million hit in dead cap money for the Falcons. Or if they decide to wait until after June 1st, that $65 million cap hit would then be spread out over the next 2 seasons. So it's just a matter of how quick you want to get the pain to go away if you are the Falcons. So Cousins has a no trade clause. So good luck trading him because number one, the no trade clause, and then on top of that, nobody in their right mind is taking on this contract. This is why, for me, it's one of those where I question the Falcons drafting Penix and, of course, prior to that, signing Cousins. I felt like if you were going to do one, you should have not done the other. And okay, if you wanted to draft Michael Penix Jr. as your future, fine. But it's one of those situations where you could have taken the money that's allocated to Kirk Cousins and you could have shored up some other positions on your team. It's one of those where, offensive line, of course, edge rusher, we did see them, acquire Matthew Judon prior to the season from the Patriots. But nonetheless, I feel like that money could have been allocated differently. Okay. And now the Falcons are going to have to go the same route that the Denver Broncos did after they cut Russell Wilson, the same route that the Vegas Raiders had to go after they released Derek Carr. And because of that, somebody's probably going to sign Kirk Cousins for cents on the dollar because he's a veteran quarterback, and of course, there's going to be somebody out there, a desperate for a quarterback, and b somebody who feels that they can fix Kirk Cousins, but he's going to go someplace for cents on the dollar, kind of like how Russell Wilson is this year for the Steelers, because he's still going to be cashing in next season from Atlanta. Remember, the Falcons gave Cousins a 4-year deal for $180 million, with $100 million of that being guaranteed. So you look at it, and I'm not surprised that this move was made. I'm not surprised that it was made right now because Kirk Cousins has not played well this season. You look at it outside of the 2 games against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and included with that the game against the Dallas Cowboys. We're talking about Kirk Cousins has just thrown 7 touchdowns for the rest of the season. He has not been good. Okay. And over the last 5 games, he's been even worse. And honestly, the only thing that saved Kirk Cousins and the Falcons on Monday night was the fact that they were playing the Raiders. And the Raiders, this side of the New York Giants, might be the worst team in the National Football League this season. So when it's all said and done, this move had to be made. I figured, and I talked about this recently, and I said, hey, I think Raheem Morris gives Kirk Cousins to the Minnesota game because After that game when they lost at home a couple of weeks ago to the Chargers, and Kirk Cousins was 24 of 39 passing for 245, no touchdowns, and 4 interceptions in a very winnable game for the Falcons at home against the Chargers. They lost 17-13. I said, you know what? The end could be near. I think Raheem Morris gave Kirk Cousins the following game because it was at Minnesota. It was a return to where Cousins has spent the last several years as a starting quarterback for the Vikings. Did not play well in that one. And then I think he gave him the benefit of the doubt against the Raiders. And I think also what worked in Cousins' favor is the guaranteed money that he is receiving. But if you are Raheem Morris, you are trying to win and you're trying to win a division and get to the postseason. You can't sit back all the time and say, well, you know what? This guy's got all this guaranteed money. We've got to keep trotting him out there because he is ruining your chances as far as getting to the postseason. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, after the Dallas win, Atlanta was 6-3, and they were in the catbird seat in the NFC South. Now Atlanta 7-7. Yes, they have the tiebreaker over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the top spot in the division, so they finished tied. But the Bucks have a one-game lead over the Falcons, and I said this prior to last week. I said if the Bucks go 2-2 the rest of the way, the Tampa wins that division. Well, Tampa just won a game that I did not expect them to win. I didn't expect the Bucks to go on the road last week and beat the Chargers, more or less dominate them like they did. Now we're talking about the Bucks over the last 3 games of the season. They're at Dallas on Sunday night, which is not going to be a pushover. They finish at home against Carolina and New Orleans, respectively. So right now, if you're the Falcons, you need the Bucks to go 1-2 over these last 3, and you've got to take care of your business as well. They're starting a rookie quarterback, of course, against the Giants. They just finished with the Raiders, one of the worst teams in the NFL. And of course, if you want to say that the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL right now, it's kind of like a 1-1A thing with them and the Giants. So this is who Atlanta's going to get at home this week. Week 17 is not going to be easy as they're on the road facing another rookie quarterback. And we've seen Jaden Daniels tear it up this season for the Washington Commanders. And then Atlanta finishes at home against Carolina. So it's not going to be an easy slate the rest of the way for the Falcons as they look to try to catch the Bucks. But nonetheless, you look at it, I think somebody's going to take a chance on Cousins next season because, like I said, he's going to be on the cheap. And again, there's going to be somebody out there who either A, needs a veteran quarterback, or B, you know what, they feel like they can fix him. I guarantee you there's going to be some jobs available to be a starting quarterback around the NFL. So you look at it and you got to say, is this the end of Kirk Cousins cashing in as a result of desperate NFL franchises? Remember, the Vikings were so desperate after Washington refused to give him a long-term deal and they kept franchising him, that they gave him a fully guaranteed contract. And of course, that right there was a game changer. Came back and got another basically fully guaranteed contract from the Vikings. And then this contract right here from the Atlanta Falcons. You're talking about a guy, I think this was his last opportunity to cash in. Kirk Cousins is 36 years of age. He's not going to get this type of money anytime soon for playing in the NFL. But nonetheless, it's one of those where he's always been an up and down quarterback to me. And now you're talking about an up and down quarterback that's coming off of an Achilles injury, an older up and down quarterback that's coming off of his off an Achilles injury. That's a hard ask for anybody to do. But at the end of the day, like I always say, is buyer beware at the quarterback position in the National Football League because the quarterback play or the quality of the quarterback play in the NFL is so bad right now, and there's really not too many guys out there who you can truly say are elite quarterbacks. That hey, teams are overpaying for mediocre quarterbacks, and I think Kirk Cousins has taken advantage of it. Hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it's not what you're worth; it's what you can negotiate. And credit to he and his agent for going out there and taking care of that. But nonetheless, the Michael Penix era is officially here for the Atlanta Falcons. And of course, some people are wondering, will Penix have the same type of success that some of the other rookie quarterbacks have had this season. Of course, J.J. McCarthy is out with a knee injury. Caleb Williams and the Bears have struggled, but we see Jaden Daniels. He looks like he's going to get his team to the playoffs with the Washington Commanders. The same thing can be said with Bo Nix with the Denver Broncos, and then of course, even though the Drake May is playing on a bad New England Patriots team, he is showing flashes that the Patriots made the right decision, taking him third overall last spring. So what Michael Penix has going for him is the fact that he's had the opportunity to sit for the bulk of his rookie season. He's had the opportunity, in spite of how bad that Kirk Cousins has been playing this year. He's still a Pro Bowl quarterback. He's made the Pro Bowl multiple times. He's been in the league for more than 10 years. So if you're Michael Penix Jr., you have the opportunity to learn from him. Okay. And now you're getting the keys to the car. It's one of those where the Giants defensively have been bad all season long. But then on top of that, they don't know what Michael Penix can and cannot do. I think it's going to be a very vanilla scheme game plan with the Falcons are going to try to work with Penix in his first game. I think they're going to lean on their running game, and I think as a team, the Falcons are going to try to lean on that home crowd as well at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the ATL. So you know what? There's an opportunity for the Falcons to try to go out there and get win number one in the Michael Penix era, which would push them above 500 as they look to keep the pressure on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the top spot in the NFC South. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Falcons are going to be able to save their season. At this point, they've got to win and they need some help. But nonetheless, Raheem Morris and the Falcons front office, they simply could not take anymore. And I think at this point, he drafted Michael Penix Jr. in round number one. It was one of those where how long were you going to sit the kid? I get it, but I think the play or lack thereof from Kirk Cousins recently made this a very easy decision for the Falcons. They have to try to save their season. Honestly, if the Vikings game was maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior to when it was, I think Kirk Cousins would have been benched then. Okay, that's how bad he was playing. I just think that the Falcons tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, and Kirk Cousins simply has not risen to the occasion. So let's see if not just Michael Penix, but just this Falcons team as a whole, if they rise to the occasion around their rookie quarterback, if they step up their play as well. We saw the Falcons special teams dominate on Monday night in the win against the Raiders, multiple block punts. How often does that happen in a National Football League game? Okay. But nonetheless, I think I'm going to really interested to see how this Falcons team as a whole rises to the occasion around this rookie quarterback. But nonetheless, even though Kirk Cousins is going to have a headset on come Sunday afternoon when the Falcons take on the Giants and maybe a clipboard in his hand, nonetheless, that man is still going to leave Atlanta in a couple of weeks in grand fashion, a lot richer due to the fact that the Falcons reached on him. But nonetheless, it's Penix time for the Falcons. And let's see if he can save their season and get them to the playoffs. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.